My name is Rashad Jennings, and you may know me from my time in the NFL, New York Times bestselling author, or lighting it up on Dancing with the Stars. And if there's one thing you come to know about me, is when I set my mind to doing something, I do it. And right now, I want to know why there are millions in the Black and Latinx community that do not have access to safe food and medical care, and why specifically food allergies over-index in these communities, and what we all can do to help solve the problem with inclusion, diversity, equity, and access to safe and nutritional food for everyone. My name is Rashad Jennings, and this is The Big Idea. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Big Idea. And I have the great honor of bringing on Michael Frazier, an advocate of FAIR himself. And so without any further ado, Michael, it's a pleasure to have you on set and discuss The Big Idea. But before we do, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
We'll do it. But before I get to that, Rashad, I can't thank you so much about the work you're doing to raise awareness. It's some people really need to understand that it's an invisible disease. So when you shed light on something like this, it's going to be a positive impact to a lot of folks. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn. I've been a part of the FAIR family for a while. I'm a national ambassador, and so I lead a lot of advocacy work, and I also take part in their DEIA initiatives. I'm very proud to take part in that work. In my daytime, I'm a communications and market executive for a museum in Lower Manhattan. And so, I have two kids, one who has allergies. And so that's what started my journey. But also, I've always been interested in engaging in advocacy practices, because just the definition of it is an act or process of supporting causes or policies that are important to you and important to the greater public. So why not be an advocate, right?
Absolutely. It's important. It's very important. And that's something I didn't have allergies growing up, but my brother has it horribly. He still struggles with. I had asthma, and a lot of other things are prevalent in our family. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time. And today, again, we're talking about advocacy. And so what does that mean in the world of food allergies? What does advocacy even mean? Could you explain the basis of that to our audience?
This is not a tough question. I think it's a legitimate one. And I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they have the power to answer that call as an advocate. So I try to break it down a little simple way. So one way you can consider it is just your backyard barbecue. So if you're planning something for friends to come over, chances are some of those friends might have some food allergies. So you want to make sure you're going to have fun. We're going to make sure here are some alternatives for our friends to enjoy this time together. And what you're doing right there is you actually are inspiring other advocates to think, oh, wow, I should really think about that when I'm inviting people over to my home who might have a food allergy. So I want them to be safe. And then it can even extend up to the schools. Like I said, I'm a parent of a boy with allergies. So he's too young right now. He's 2 years old. But when he gets older, obviously we'll talk to the school about his issues. His schoolmates will know. But I think it's also important just to have allies. If other people are hearing that, and it's important for not only their kids, but the people around them, you're advocating it on a really, really basic level. And then if you want to get to something like I committed some time to volunteer with FAIR, I'm just scaling something that comes natural to me. I'm looking out for my boy. There's four. If I have other people who might be coming into this universe or have some allergies like him, I'm already practiced. So I'm thinking about other people. So I'm just widening the net. So advocacy is more than giving voice to the voiceless. It's also inspiring other people to stand behind things that are important for everybody.
And that really stood out to me, giving a voice for the voiceless. And that's so important to do. I think it's a cliche thing, but it's so important. If somebody can't speak, you have to speak on their behalf. And I heard you say cookout, Brooklyn and the cookout, man. What's something that's on the burner that you looking for first? If you had a cookout in Brooklyn, I just got to know.
You know what, man? Let me tell you, when it come around here, because plus I live in Prospect Heights, which is historically a Caribbean neighborhood. So,
Okay.
man, jerk chicken off the chain, right? With rice and peas, and cabbage. We talking about something right there. And then obviously
Yeah, we
in the park.
wait, man, I'm
In
ready
the
to eat
park,
now.
you ready? Come on through. It don't matter because it's getting cold outside. So like in the park, we keep it real simple, man. Bratwurst, burgers, making sure everybody got something good, you know. So yeah, over here we know how to burn.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And kind of tell us a little bit about the most recent achievements in advocacy for food allergies, and where do you think we have succeeded in this space?
So there's a lot. I really have to say, and not just because I'm part of the organization, but when I was lost and just discovered that, I had to manage a child with food allergy, me and my wife, who is incredible in managing so much, just down to what he's going to eat, where we're going to go, talking to friends. I mean, it's really interesting when, even our daughter, she'll have crackers with cheese on it. And we have to remind her, I know you want to love and hug your brother, but if you do that, he could become sick. So it's just really a lot for us to think about. I can't say enough about FAIR. They have been a guiding light. They have so many resources, right? And I think people should support them, but they have so many resources that get you through just everyday life stuff. Even this past Halloween, they provided a list of candies if you want to give your kids candy, a list of candies that's safe for them. Like that's huge to be able to find that and not think about the anxiety of trick or treating, getting home and figuring out what you can give to a kid or not. Someone has already done that for you. So they're your advocates. And so that's already happening for you. But in terms of big wins in the food allergy community, and of course, FAIR is leading this, you got to think about how the airlines are being encouraged to carry EpiPens. When you're 30,000 feet up and you have a problem, an issue, there should be EpiPens on the planes. If you look at the FASTER Act, which is incredible, this is not only going to provide research for food allergies, because we got to get rid of the trials where people are eating food to see whether they're going to respond to it or not. I think that's just traumatic for a kid to have to go through that, particularly as they get older in life, to see if they're going to have a food challenge. Maybe it's going to work. Maybe they're not going to react to it. It's just, I think that's a horrible way to test to see if you are still going to respond to a food allergen. And so the FASTER Act is going to help with that kind of research. But the biggest thing is going to help out with the food labeling. You have sesame, which should be considered a top food allergen. It is not. And so just having that bill introduced to me is a win, because I really feel it's going to pass. And then there's a lot of other things too. What FAIR and other organizations are doing in schools, making sure school districts understand that the real threats of food safety for people who with allergies, I think that's critically important. Those are some big wins I see, and I know there's tons more, and we could talk about them all day, but I think those are really key. And particularly one other thing, because I know we'll talk about this later on in terms of food access, is not only having people have access to food that's safe for them, we also have to think about the pricing structure. There's inequities in people's finances and what they earn every year. And oftentimes food allergy safe food, or we call allergy safe food, is often expensive. No, not everyone can afford that. So it eliminates some choices. So there also needs to be some responsibility to food makers to make sure we can have food that's affordable for people to get.
Mm-hmm. And, food allergy advocates have definitely, made their presence felt in Congress, but what still needs to be done, and what are advocates fighting for now? If you could touch on that a little bit, because I know sometimes, when you see people fighting for things, you don't necessarily know why.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question that you're raising. I think not enough people are taking it seriously, right? And I think as advocates, what we need to do, I mentioned scale earlier, I think we need to think of it as we need to contextualize it better. Someone becoming sick or potentially sick from ingesting an allergen and have to go to the hospital, have to get a shot of EpiPen, ride in the ambulance, that is an impact to our healthcare system, right? That's an impact to our families. So I think if we raise it up to a level of showing that it's not just about labeling, which is critically important, right? It's not just about listing the food that potentially could hurt someone, but if we could just put it in the context of this is a larger issue, right? This is a healthcare issue, right? And so I think if we could start to do that a little bit more, I really think there'll be more success. And I'm not saying like we're just leveraging what's happening in our country right now because our healthcare system is horribly complicated, but food allergies should not be left on the sideline. They should be included in a larger conversation about this. So I think that's one way we can elevate this up a bit more. And I think we still have a lot of work to do.
That's awesome, man. And it shouldn't be overlooked. I completely agree. A lot of people deal with this on a daily basis. And, you know, for all the advocates out there that are trying to bring awareness to this, I encourage you. There are a lot of people that are depending on you. So continue to use your platform and, you know, continuing to use your platform. This series is all about food allergies through the premise of diversity, inclusion, and access. And so in regards to activism, how does race and ethnicity come into play when it comes to being an activism?
Well, so there's a stat I just read in the Washington Post about Black children are 7 times more likely to have a food allergy than whites. Now, why? It's studies from 2020, this year from Northwestern University. I think there's a lot of issues. People talk about environmental activism, where people live, typically people of color, lower income families, live in communities where like lead might be prevalent or bad air conditioning, not air conditioning, bad air is prevalent. So I think there needs to be examination of why are these allergies affecting one community over another? Again, it goes back to having a conversation that's larger than just about food allergies. You know, systematically, people of color, they earn less. They grow up in poor communities in bad conditions, and they have less access to the things that they need. One being healthy foods, right? And so I think if we start to chip at those inequities, we can really start to zero in on how can we turn the tide in not only helping people manage food allergies, but what can we do to help solve them? What can we do to help make it a little bit easier for these families to cope with rising costs in food, rising costs in healthcare? You know, I'm fortunate enough to have insurance where I can get an EpiPen for my son, several we have on deck. I can't imagine, you know, someone who's below the poverty line having to think about not even an EpiPen, but where they're going to get their next meal. So I think until we start to chip away at some of these other inequities in these communities, in Black and brown communities, I think then, you know, food allergies should be a part of the conversation, but it's going to be solved if we hit these larger targets that are creating these obstacles.
Absolutely. And talking about obstacles, there are so many huge issues facing the Black and brown communities. All the way from systemic racism to unequal access to housing and education, the police, and the list continues. And those are very hugely important. With all those being so prevalent right now, how do we also get the attention paid to food allergies? And should they?
They absolutely should. It should be part of the conversation. There should be fair and equal housing. There should be fair policing in our community, right? There should be access to not just an education, but a good education. And there should be equities in the healthcare system. So then you roll food allergies into that, right? So we're all talking about inequities on a larger scale. As I said earlier, it's just about if we consider food allergies, safe food, and how people can prevent themselves from going to the hospital by ingesting something that we all need, which is food, something to eat. If we eliminate those challenges, if we look at it at a bigger way, if we create this model where it's not just food allergies over here and everything else is over here, it needs to be together. It has to be a larger context provided, not just for who we're advocating for, the legislators. And, you know, manufacturers, everyone has a hand in this. So if we just try to contextualize a little more, think about exactly who it's impacting, and include it into a larger conversation about inequities in these communities. All the things you mentioned are critically important. So is healthcare, so is food allergies.
You know, this is a heavy topic, and it's really trying to get people to focus in. You know, I'm gonna do a little fun exercise with you, see how it goes. We're not in the same room.
Right.
Never done this. Not being.
I hope I don't mess it up, man.
No, it'll be all good, man. It's all good. It's all fun and love, man. But I want you and anybody listening to do this at your home. It could be fun. So what I want you to do is look around the room that you're currently in, and I'm going to get you to find this something. Every time you find one of these somethings, count one. Look for the next one, 2, 3. See how many of these somethings you can find. And I want you to look around your room, and I want you to find as many things that have the color red in it. I'll give you a few seconds, just look around, just find red and point or count it and look around and find something else that's red. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, time up. No cheating. I know everybody like to win, but no cheating.
I like red. So
it's easy. So did you find anything that was red? Did you find red?
9 things, easy.
9 things easy that were red. Okay, perfect. That's actually more than I thought you would find in the room. Now this time, well, before, did you find anything brown when I asked you to look for red? This time, I want you to look around. Sure.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Cool. Now, this time I want you to look around the room and find as many things that are brown that you possibly can.
All right.
Give you a few seconds here. Give you 5, 4, looking for brown, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. So this time
I came up.
You can't. Did you find more brown?
4 things.
Okay, 4 things. Did you find more brown when you were focused on finding it, or did you find more brown when you was looking for red?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I noticed brown when I was looking for red, but when I was focused more on brown, then I was really looking for it.
And that's how we work as humans. When we're focused in on something, we typically find what we're looking for. All right, and that's the point of the exercise. Is that, you know, when you're looking for red, is you may glaze across the color brown, but you really didn't count it. And we will find what we're looking for so much to the point where we will actually make it up if we don't find it. For example, when I asked you to look for brown, I'm pretty sure you saw something that was beige or tan and still counted it as brown because you are dialed in to find it. And so you're going to make it up even if it ain't true. And so, like, with the power of focus, you know, we really do need to take a deep breath and focus on our health and not just glaze across it because we're focused on whatever it may be, all these other issues that the world may provide us, though we need the focus there too. So I believe there's a balance that we have to find truly to continue to evolve as humans, to make our communities better, give energy to these issues. And so I just want to stop and just kind of commend you for all the work that you do on the behalf of FAIR, because there's a lot of people, even including myself at times, where I don't give the appropriate time. And it's people like you that remind me I need to. So I just want to commend you and say thank you and the team that you work with. Nobody's forcing you to do this. You know, this is an opportunity that you see to help your community. So I just want to say thank you.
I really appreciate that, man. I do. And all the work you, like I said, you're bringing so much attention to it. We appreciate it. It's all in the FAIR family, but even extends beyond that. And that exercise I'm going to do now, I'm going to pick that up. That's going to be part of my team exercise for my folks. I'm gonna try to have them focus on something like work. So we go. I'm gonna figure that one out. I like it.
Hey, Michael, I appreciate your time. But as we're in closing, man, what can viewers at home do right now to help advocate for those in the food allergy world and the communities, for all backgrounds alike? If somebody's at home saying that I've heard this video and it reminded me that I need to get involved in my community, or I've heard this for the first time and now I know I'm needed in my community, where do they start? Where do they go? Is there a website? How do they get in touch with somebody?
Well, first, this is not an insult on anyone's intelligence. It's just an exercise. What I want you to do is just look up the word advocate, right? And I think when you demystify words, you sort of accept that you can become what is being defined. And so, it just means you care about something, or you want to be an ally to someone on an important issue or policy, and you're lending a voice or action to that. So it could be something as simple as helping out the local Girl Scout troop, or it could be something as big as trying to shape the contours of a presidential election. So, I just think people should first start from ground zero and go, advocacy could be anything. It's just about things you care about or that's important for more people. And so what I would say is, if you feel, stressed about how do you start, I would start small. I'm telling you, you have friends who need your help. You have families who need your help that and there's an issue that's impacting them and their families and their friends, their loved ones. Talk to them about it. You hear something come up, you go, wow, what's that? Do a little research and find out what you could do, whether that's writing someone, posting something on your social channels, or volunteering like I do, like Rashad do. There's a opportunity for you to lend your voice to folks and to issues that are critically important for our country. But yeah, I always say start with going to FAIR. That's it's an incredible organization. It's something where I learned a lot and how I can become not only, as me and Rashad was talking about, a voice for the voiceless, but also a better provider to my son, making sure that he can navigate. He's 2 years old. He definitely doesn't have a voice. He definitely don't have a lot. So I need to be that for him. Me and my wife need to be that for him. So they have provided a structure that's incredible for us in terms of food allergies. And one other thing I will say is that food allergies is like an invisible disease. And I say this because most people tend to understand when they can see something as an issue. Like it's physical, it's a reminder. They either want to do it out the goodness of their heart, they want to be very altruistic, or they feel guilty about it and they want to change that condition. But you don't know if I'm floating around and I have an allergy to peanut butter. There's nothing I can really say that to you unless something happens and you're in the ambulance with me. So the more visibility we could put on this issue, I think the more it'll be taken as being something that's very important, that is changing people's lives. And it's not just about that first bite that could go wrong. It's about all the things that happen after it, that can just affect families. And by the way, risk people's lives. So it's a serious thing. So, just take your time, do a little research. For you food allergy advocates out there, we need you. We need you to help elevate this work. And I want to thank you in advance because I know you're going to do it.
Absolutely. Call to action. Everybody take 15 minutes to look up the word advocate. Just do that.
That's right.
and see where that knowledge takes you. I think just as Michael had said, it will inspire you truly. And I appreciate your time. I know you're going to continue to do great work in our communities along with FAIR. And this is The Big Idea. And I hope to see everybody on the next episode.